There is a law in life that cannot be broken, only delayed. A truth that does not shout, but echoes through every empty bank account, every failed dream, every bitter regret whispered in the quiet hours of the night. Your income will rarely exceed your level of self-development. Not because the world is unfair, not because fate has chosen others and forsaken you, but because life is not in the business of paying you what you want, it pays you what you are. You see, you don't get success by wishing for it. You get it by becoming the kind of person who can hold it, carry it, and multiply it. The wealth you seek, the freedom you crave, the influence you desire, they all demand rent. And the price? Growth, self-mastery, discipline, vision. That's the toll, not $1 less. The problem is not the dream, it's who we are while chasing it. If your mind is cluttered with doubt, your time filled with distraction, and your days dictated by comfort, then the universe with all its riches will pass you by, not out of cruelty, but because you are not yet capable of holding what you're asking for. It's not about luck, it's about laws. And the first law is simple. Your external reality is a mirror of your internal capacity. Want to earn more? Then become more. Want to influence millions? Then master yourself. Want to build an empire? Then learn to rule your own mind. You are the ceiling. The world doesn't need another person who wants to get rich quick. The world is full of those. But what it does need desperately is someone willing to dig, to bleed, to stretch themselves beyond recognition and emerge as someone new. Someone forged in the fire of discipline, not softened by the comfort of excuses. Self-development is not a side hobby. It is the work. It is not something you squeeze in between Netflix episodes or after the dopamine high of scrolling has worn off. No, it is war. A silent war, fought not with weapons, but with choices, with habits, with how you use your time when no one is watching. Because that's where success begins, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. When you choose to read instead of scroll, when you rise early instead of hitting snooze, when you spend your money on growth instead of gimmicks, that's when the world starts paying attention. That's when you start attracting the kind of results that others label luck. There is no such thing as sustainable success without internal expansion. You want a 7-figure income? Then you need a 7-figure identity. You must speak, think, walk, and decide like someone who is already living at that level. You must be congruent with the life you're asking for. If not, it will slip through your fingers like sand every time. Think of your mind as a container, and think of success as water. You can pour and pour, but if your container is small, if it's cracked by fear, if it's leaking with insecurity, if it's shallow in depth, then the water won't stay. It will spill, evaporate, disappear, and you'll wonder why. It's because you never built the container. You never did the internal work. And so we return to the law. Your income will rarely exceed your self-development. Some people fight this law their entire lives. They try shortcuts, they chase hacks, they copy what others are doing, but nothing sticks. Because you cannot skip the part where you evolve. Money is attracted to value. And value is a reflection of who you are, not just what you do. That's why two people can be given the same opportunity, and one will build a legacy while the other squanders it. The difference isn't the opportunity, it's the level of development. Are you learning daily? Are you refining your mind like a craftsman polishes steel? Are you studying people, understanding systems, building habits that compound over time? Or are you simply hoping that one day things will change without ever changing yourself? You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. You can write your dreams on vision boards, chant affirmations, visualize success, but none of that will outwork a weak mindset, a poor work ethic, or a self-image that whispers, "You don't deserve this." And so we begin where all transformations begin, mindset. Your thoughts are architects. Each one is laying bricks, building either a prison or a palace. A poor person with a rich mindset will rise. A rich person with a poor mindset will fall. Because wealth isn't just about dollars, it's about direction. Are you moving upward, or are you sinking beneath the weight of your own limitations? The mind is a garden. If you plant seeds of discipline, of hunger, of curiosity, then your life becomes fertile with opportunity. But if you let weeds of doubt, fear, and procrastination grow unchecked, you will choke your own progress before it ever gets a chance to bloom. So you must tend to your mind like a warrior sharpens his sword every day without fail. This is not motivational fluff. This is the foundation. If your belief system tells you money is evil, you will repel wealth. If your self-talk calls you lazy or unworthy, you will sabotage your own wins. If your mental habits revolve around distraction, entertainment, and instant gratification, then you will trade your future for crumbs of the present. Your mindset is the software that runs everything else. Upgrade it or be ruled by it. But a powerful mindset without clarity is like a Ferrari with no driver. You may have the engine, but you won't know where to go. Clarity is the compass. It's not enough to say, I want to be successful. That means nothing. Success must be defined, refined, and visualized down to the finest detail. Who do you want to become? What impact do you want to make? What will your days look like, feel like when you arrive? Most people are vague, and so their results are scattered. If your vision is blurry, don't be surprised when your life is a fog. You must see your future so clearly that it burns inside you, that it becomes the lens through which you filter every decision, that it creates a tension between where you are and where you must go. That's when transformation begins, when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. And once you have clarity, then you need purpose. Because purpose is what keeps you moving when the passion runs out, when the novelty fades, when the applause stops and the grind begins. Without purpose, you will quit, because life will test you. It will see how badly you want it. It will delay the harvest, force you to plant seeds in drought, ask you to believe when there is no visible sign of progress. And if you don't have purpose, you will fold. You will retreat to safety. You will return to the prison of comfort. But if your purpose is strong, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not critics, not setbacks. Because when you are connected to something deeper than yourself, your energy becomes inexhaustible. Purpose is fuel, and from purpose flows discipline. Not the harsh kind, not the punishment kind, but the kind that says, I respect my future too much to betray it today. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. It is the daily choice to align your actions with your highest vision, even when no one is watching. It is what builds trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become dangerous. Because most people don't. Most people break promises to themselves daily. They say they'll wake up early, and they don't. They say they'll stop scrolling, and they don't. They say they'll focus and then distract themselves for hours. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you chip away at your power. You send the message that your word is negotiable. But when you say, I will, and then you do over and over and over again, you become unstoppable. Not because life is easier for you, but because you are stronger than what used to stop you. And this is what self-development is really about. Not reading 10 books a month, not listening to endless podcasts, not collecting quotes and calling it wisdom. It's about building a version of yourself that cannot be bought, cannot be shaken, cannot be stopped. A version that earns everything it asks for. Because your income, your relationships, your freedom, they are all reflections of one thing, who you are becoming. And the good news is, that part is fully in your control. You can rewrite your life the moment you decide to rewrite yourself. The minute you stop blaming the economy, your childhood, your boss, your partner, or your past stand, take full ownership. That's when everything changes. Because the market doesn't reward blame. It rewards value. And value comes from growth. Discipline creates the framework, but action breathes life into it. Because knowledge without execution is the most seductive form of procrastination. Reading about success, dreaming about wealth, fantasizing about freedom, it feels productive, but it's not. The world only responds to movement. If you're not taking action, you're not in the game. And action, real action, isn't always glamorous. It's often boring, repetitive, invisible. It looks like writing when no one is reading, showing up when no one is clapping, building when no one is buying. But this is where greatness is born, in the trenches, in the obscurity, in the grind that no one sees but you. Most people wait for motivation to strike, but motivation is a liar. It's inconsistent, emotional, easily swayed by weather, moods, or Netflix trailers. If you rely on it, you will fail. Winners don't move when they feel like it. They move because they decided to move. Because they know that every action compounds, that each small step forward is a vote for the person they're becoming. That showing up again and again, especially when it's hard, builds momentum, and momentum builds empires. But even with action, you must stay grateful. Not just for what you have, but for the opportunity to become more. Gratitude is not passive. It's not just writing in a journal or mumbling thank yous. Gratitude is fierce. It's the fire that fuels you when you realize you get to do this, you get to build, you get to grow, you get to climb mountains others only dream of touching. Gratitude turns pressure into privilege. It's what keeps you grounded when success arrives, and it will. Because when you combine mindset with clarity, purpose with discipline, and action with gratitude, you become a force. You start rising in ways that others can't explain, because they didn't see the war you fought to get here. But with success comes a new requirement: adaptability. Because what got you here won't get you there. Growth means reinvention. It means shedding skins, leaving behind old beliefs, upgrading your strategies. It means having the humility to say, I was wrong, and the courage to ask, what now? Stagnation is the enemy of momentum. If you're not evolving, you're decaying. The world changes fast. Technology shifts, markets move, people evolve. If you want to win, you must move with it, not reactively, but proactively. Study trends, learn new skills. Question your assumptions. Pivot when needed, but stay grounded in your mission. Adaptability is not weakness. It's strength in motion. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to adjust without losing your edge, to reinvent without forgetting who you are. And when things go wrong, and they will, there's one more habit that separates the extraordinary from the average: resilience. Because no matter how smart, talented, or strategic you are, life will punch you in the mouth. Plans will fail. People will betray you. Effort will go unrewarded. And you'll be tempted to quit. But the developed mind doesn't fold under pressure, it sharpens. Resilience is your capacity to take a hit and keep going. Not blindly, not stubbornly, but with intention, with strategy, with grace. It is the inner fortitude that says, I didn't come this far just to come this far. And you cultivate it by failing forward, by learning from losses, by treating every setback not as punishment but as preparation. The resilient don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback, as fuel. And this ability to learn is the final edge. The world belongs to the learners, not the know-it-alls. Not the ones who flex their degrees or rest on past wins, but those who stay teachable, hungry, humble. Because learning keeps you sharp. It humbles the ego. It sharpens the blade. It ensures that no matter how high you climb, you're still willing to listen, adjust, evolve. It's what allows you to continue rising. And so, the law remains. Your income will rarely exceed your self-development. Not just your reading habits, not just your morning routine, but the totality of who you are becoming, your discipline, your decisions, your mindset, your gratitude, your adaptability, your resilience, your hunger to learn, all of it. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. So if you want more, become more. Because when you grow, everything else follows. The money, the respect, the freedom, the legacy. Your income is a scoreboard. Your life is the arena. And your development, that's the game. And the game does not pause. It does not wait for you to feel ready. It does not care how long you've been dreaming or how bad you say you want it. The game is played every single day with or without you. And while others are sharpening their swords, learning, adapting, evolving, you must ask yourself, am I growing or am I just going through the motions? Because motion without growth is a lie. We tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of change. Real growth is uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice. It calls you to release old habits, toxic patterns, familiar excuses. It challenges your identity. It forces you to confront the version of yourself that has kept you safe, small, and stagnant. And that version must die if you ever want to live a life that is truly yours. Let go of the false security of mediocrity. Stop clinging to the comfort of just enough. Because the moment you settle for average, you abandon the calling to become extraordinary. You were not born for survival, you were born for significance. But significance doesn't find you. It's forged through fire, through relentless self-mastery, through the discipline of showing up when every fiber of your being screams to stay down. Your success will never outgrow your identity. That's the truth. A man earning $10,000 a month with the mindset of someone who believes they're worth minimum wage will find a way to sabotage it. A woman handed a six-figure business with the belief system of someone who's afraid of failure will crumble under the weight of responsibility. Identity is the root. Income is the fruit. So if you want to change the fruit, you don't paint the apples. You dig deep, you fix the soil, you nurture the roots. You ask the real questions. What do I believe about money? What do I believe about myself? Am I worthy of wealth or am I afraid of being seen? And if the answers shake you, good. That's the beginning. Because self-development is not about pretending to be perfect. It's about becoming unshakably honest, ruthlessly self-aware, courageously committed to becoming more than you were yesterday. When you start doing that, when you start telling the truth to yourself and then acting on it, the world shifts. People notice. Doors open. Money flows. Not because the universe suddenly decided to be generous, but because you finally became someone who could handle the responsibility of success. People say they want to be rich, but do they want to be disciplined? Do they want to wake up early, manage their time like their life depends on it, face rejection over and over without flinching, invest in books instead of parties, silence their ego long enough to learn from mentors? Because the cost of success is never monetary, it's personal, and most are unwilling to pay. They want the lifestyle, not the life, the rewards, not the responsibilities. They want the mountaintop without climbing the mountain. But the truth is, no one hands you the summit. You bleed for it. You earn every inch of elevation with sweat, with sacrifice, with the daily grind of building a mind and spirit that refuses to quit. And in that climb, something happens. You become someone different, someone stronger, someone who no longer begs for opportunities but creates them, someone who doesn't hope for change but becomes it. This is what it means to live a life of self-development. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. It means aligning your habits with your vision, your actions with your identity, your time with your values. It means being obsessed not with the destination, but with becoming the kind of person who deserves to get there. And when you do, the income catches up, the success arrives, the impact multiplies, not as a fluke, but as a natural result of who you've become. You are not behind. You are not broken, but you are responsible for your future, for your development, for your life. No one is coming to save you, but no one needs to because you were built for this. So stand up, take the reins, look in the mirror and say, I will not betray my potential another day. Because every day you delay your growth is a day you delay your greatness. And the world is waiting, not for someone who wishes for more, but for someone who has become more. So grow every single day and never forget. Your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will always rise to meet your level of commitment. Become the person who makes the impossible look inevitable. You are the seed, and the soil. You are the architect and the bricklayer. You are the raw material and the sculptor. The life you want is not locked behind some secret code or hidden behind some lucky break. It is waiting for you to become the version of yourself capable of receiving it. Every day, you are either stepping into that version or stepping away. Every choice matters. The decision to read instead of binge. The decision to study instead of scroll. The decision to create instead of consume. These are not small acts. These are identity declarations, each one carving the blueprint of who you are becoming. And over time, those choices compound. That is the power of self-development. It compounds like interest. At first, it looks invisible. Nothing changes. You feel like you're working in the dark. No applause. No visible progress. But slowly, something shifts. Your posture changes. Your tone sharpens. Your thoughts evolve. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You attract different people, different opportunities, different results. And eventually, the world takes notice. People will call it luck, but you'll know it was work. People will call it talent, but you'll know it was time. Time spent in the arena, bleeding, doubting, failing, learning, rising. You'll know every scar you earned, every fear you overcame, every comfort zone you shattered. And you'll look back not with pride for what you achieved, but for who you became. Because the greatest reward of growth is not the income, it's the identity. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you built something real, that when the storms come, and they will, you won't be shaken. Because you didn't fake your way here. You forged your way here. Self-development is not a phase. It's a philosophy, a way of life. It means you never stop evolving. You never stop questioning. You never stop learning, building, refining. You walk into every room not to impress, but to absorb, not to be seen, but to see deeper. You seek wisdom like oxygen. You crave challenge like a warrior craves the battlefield. You embrace discomfort because you know without it, you die slowly, invisibly, comfortably. The comfort zone is where dreams rot. But the growth zone, that's where kings are crowned. That's where queens are built. That's where lives are transformed. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely. Yes, it's relentless. But that is the price of greatness. And let me tell you, it's worth it. Because when you wake up one day living a life that once existed only in your imagination, when you realize the freedom, the wealth, the power, the peace are all real, not because you got lucky, but because you became worthy, that feeling, that quiet thunder in your chest, it's unmatched. But it never arrives for those who wait, only for those who work. So don't chase the life, build the self, and let the life chase you. Let the income chase the value. Let the recognition chase the consistency. Let the world reward what you've earned through relentless inner transformation. You want more? Good. But don't just want it, prepare for it. Grow for it, bleed for it. Outlearn, outwork, outlast the version of you who was fine with less. And remember, you don't get rich by accident. You get rich by evolution. And evolution is violent. It requires death. The death of your excuses, the death of your laziness, the death of the smallness you've been clinging to. Let that version go. Let it die. And watch what rises in its place. Watch the world adjust to the new you. Watch the money respond. Watch the respect multiply. Watch the doors open. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Your development is your destiny. Guard it. Nurture it. Fight for it. Because everything you want is on the other side of the person you're afraid to become. So become them fully, relentlessly, unapologetically, and then keep going. Because there is no finish line when you're chasing your highest self. Because the ones who rise are the ones who don't stop. The ones who demand more of themselves when no one else is watching. The ones who understand that transformation is not a destination. It's a daily confrontation with every limitation you've ever believed. So let's go deeper. You want to change your life? Then upgrade your standards. Not your dreams, your standards. Because your dreams are already big enough. It's not the dream that's the problem. It's what you tolerate. It's what you allow. It's what you keep letting slide because it's not that bad. Let me tell you something. Not that bad is the enemy of greatness. Not that bad is how people stay broke. It's how people stay stuck. It's how people convince themselves that average is acceptable. Raise your standards so high that they offend your former self. Stop negotiating with your distractions. Stop flirting with mediocrity. Burn the bridge back to the version of you that settles, that complains, that hides behind excuses, that says maybe someday. Someday is not a strategy. It's a sentence, a slow death in disguise. You want to be wealthy? Stop tolerating mental poverty. You want to lead? Stop following your feelings. You want to stand out? Then stop blending in. Success doesn't respond to your intentions. It responds to your intensity, to your obsession, to your refusal to live one more day misaligned with your potential. So get real. Look around your life. Everything in it, your income, your habits, your relationships, your body, your environment, it's all feedback. It's telling you the truth about your standards. Do you walk like someone who's going somewhere? Do you talk like someone who knows where they're headed? Do you live like someone who's done negotiating with the old life? Because every action either reinforces your current reality or rewrites it. And you can rewrite it. That's the miracle of being human. You are not a tree. You are not cemented in your circumstances. You are capable of radical reinvention. But that reinvention requires relentless alignment. Your environment must reflect your elevation. Your circle must match your commitment. Your habits must echo your hunger. That means making hard decisions. That means letting go of people who keep you average, even if they mean well. That means deleting the apps that steal your focus. That means saying no to the things you used to say yes to because your future demands it. You don't rise with weak boundaries. You rise with powerful choices. And once those choices are mad to protect them like your life depends on it, because it does. Your future depends on how fiercely you defend your focus. Focus is your superpower in a world designed to distract you. It's the difference between progress and paralysis, between a life that reacts and a life that leads. And here's the brutal truth. Distraction is not passive. It's a decision. Every time you choose it, you're voting against your potential. You're giving your energy to things that will never pay you back. But when you eliminate the noise, when you delete the non-essential, say no to the trivial, silence the constant ping of mediocrity, you start to hear something else, something powerful, something quiet, something you've been drowning out for years. Your purpose. And purpose doesn't scream. It whispers. It whispers in the moments when you're still enough to hear it. It whispers in the grind, in the tears, in the nights you keep working after everyone else went to sleep, in the mornings when your alarm goes off and you rise not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That whisper, it's calling you higher, not just to make more money, but to become more disciplined, more present, more excellent, more dangerous to the version of you that used to settle. And when you align with that purpose, you stop looking for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop explaining your hunger to people who are content being full of excuses. You just move. Because once you know who you are and what you're here to build, nothing can stop you. The world will try. The resistance will come. Life will test your resolve. But your roots will be too deep. Your vision will be too clear. Your identity will be too strong. That's what self-development gives you. Unshakable identity. The ability to walk into any room, face any storm, climb any hill and know that you can handle it. Because you've already faced the biggest enemy. You. And you didn't flinch. You did the work. You killed the excuses. You broke the chains. You chose growth over comfort, hunger over habit, discipline over distraction. And now you own your life. Because that's what this is about. Not motivation, not hype, ownership. Owning your thoughts, owning your patterns, owning your reactions, owning your results. No more blaming. No more waiting. No more hoping. Just becoming. Because once you become the person, the life must follow. And it will. Then listen closely, because we are entering the part no one wants to talk about. The lonely hours, the doubts, the days where nothing makes sense, and your vision feels 1,000 miles away. The sacrifices no one applauds, the battles no one sees, the weight of responsibility that success demands, the price you must pay behind the scenes so that the world one day sees a masterpiece. This is the valley, and every legend walks through it. Don't you dare think you're the only one struggling. Don't you dare romanticize someone else's highlight reel while you're knee-deep in your own becoming. Every person you admire, every titan, every leader, every entrepreneur, every world shaker, they bled here. They wrestled with doubt, with fear, with silence, with seasons of waiting and wondering, is this worth it? And the ones who rose, they weren't the most gifted. They were the most committed. Because success is not given to the most talented, it is given to the most disciplined, the most resilient, the most faithful in the process, when no reward is guaranteed. You want to stand out? Then withstand more. Withstand the boredom of repetition, the pain of delayed gratification, the tension of holding your standard when everyone around you lowers theirs. Withstand the pressure of staying focused when distractions whisper sweet lies in your ear. Just for today. Just relax. You've earned a break. No, you haven't earned a break until you've broken through. And even then you build again. Because this is what few understand. There is no arrival. There is only deeper mastery. The goal is not to escape the work. The goal is to love the work. To fall so in love with the process of self-mastery that the outcomes become a byproduct. To become addicted not to dopamine, but to dominion. Dominion over your mind. Dominion over your energy. Dominion over your time, your thoughts, your environment. That's the highest form of freedom. Not being able to buy anything you want, but being able to become anyone you choose. You want power? Earn it through restraint. You want speed? Earn it through stillness. You want income? Earn it through internal alignment so precise, so unshakable that the universe bends to your will. Because that's what happens when you rise in self-development. The world starts to reflect the power you've cultivated. People respond differently. Opportunities appear, not because you're lucky, but because your frequency has changed. You are no longer begging for success. You are magnetizing it, because success responds to energy. And high-level energy comes from one source: alignment. When your thoughts, beliefs, habits, and actions all flow in the same direction, when there's no inner conflict, no hidden resistance, no self-sabotage, you become a missile. Clear, focused, lethal. And that level of clarity, it's not found. It's forged. Forged in early mornings, in missed parties, in turned-off notifications, in pages read, reps done, hours focused, distractions deleted, silence embraced. That's where the edge is built. And when you've built that edge, nothing can touch you. Not the critics, not the fear, not the failure, because you've already been through worse and you kept going. You've already been the underdog and you turned it into fuel. You've already been counted out and you used it as proof that you were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand apart. And now you're dangerous. Because you no longer seek external permission to rise. You've become the permission. You've realized the truth. Every limitation you believed was a lie. Every ceiling was an illusion. Every doubt was an echo of a smaller cell phone you've long outgrown. You don't need to be saved. You don't need to be discovered. You need to keep developing, relentlessly, daily, intentionally, unapologetically. Because the people who change the world are not the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who refuse to stay small. So rise. And when you've risen, rise again. Because the moment you stop rising, you start rotting. Stagnation is the silent assassin of destiny. It doesn't come with drama. It doesn't knock on the door. It seeps in quiet, subtle, disguised as balance, disguised as taking it easy, disguised as I'm good where I'm at. But you're not good. You're just comfortable. And comfort is the most seductive prison ever built. It makes you forget you were born for more. It wraps you in softness, while your dreams harden and your hunger fades. So don't settle. Don't plateau. Don't tell yourself this is enough when the fire in your chest is still burning. Because there's another level. There's always another level. More excellence, more impact, more precision, more presence, more power. And reaching that next level isn't about adding more to your plateau. It's about elevating who you are when you show up to the table. It's about subtracting everything that no longer serves. Cutting off the noise, releasing the lies, silencing the inner voice that still whispers, who do you think you are? You know exactly who you are. You're the one who didn't quit. The one who chose growth when others chose gossip. The one who trained in silence while others sought attention. The one who said, I will not die with my potential still inside me. That version of you, the one you're becoming, is your greatest investment. And like all investments, it demands consistency. You don't grow by sprinting once a month. You grow by showing up daily, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when no one is clapping, because those are the days that count. Those are the bricks that build the legacy. A house isn't built by laying one spectacular brick. It's built by laying ordinary bricks exceptionally well, day after day, without fail. So show up. Sharpen your habits until they become armor. Sharpen your words until they become commands. Sharpen your mind until it slices through doubt like steel through silk. Because life doesn't reward those who dabble, it rewards those who decide. And once you decide, once you fully commit to becoming the highest, most powerful, most developed version of yourself, everything changes. You start to move different, think different, choose different. You start making decisions from vision, not from fear. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop justifying mediocrity. You stop explaining your ambition to people who aren't qualified to judge it. You go all in, not halfway. Not, let's see how this goes. Not, I'll try for a few weeks. All in. Because the life you want isn't waiting at the shore, it's out in the deep water. Past the fear, past the failure, past the point of no return. And only those who burn the boats, only those who decide there is no plan B, only those who say, this is who I am now, they're the ones who reach it. So burn the boats. Decide that your old life is no longer available. Decide that your old excuses have expired. Decide that average is no longer your identity. And from that place, from that intensity build, brick by brick, thought by thought, habit by habit, until the day you wake up and realize you didn't just change your income, you changed everything. Because the moment you realize that you didn't just change your income, but your identity, your capacity, your destiny, that's when the real power begins. See, most people are trying to have before they become. They want the money before the maturity. They want the freedom before the discipline. They want the recognition before they've conquered their private battles. But the universe doesn't work like that. It pays in proportion to who you are, not just what you do. And if you haven't become the kind of person who can carry the weight of the life you're asking for, you'll collapse under its pressure. It'll be too much, too fast, too fragile. That's why self-development isn't just about growth. It's about foundation. You don't build a skyscraper on sand. You dig, you fortify. You lay steel beneath the surface before you rise. Same with you. If you want to go high, you must go deep. You must confront the parts of yourself that are weak, the parts that avoid discomfort, the parts that procrastinate, that fear rejection, that sabotage progress. You must sit in silence and ask, what am I still carrying that's weighing down my potential? And then release it. Let go of the victim stories. Let go of the scarcity mindset. Let go of the approval addiction. Let go of the identity that was shaped by fear instead of vision. And then replace it with strength, with intention, with the belief that you are not here to play small. You are not here to repeat the past. You are not here to survive. You are here to build. And builders don't beg. They don't whine. They don't wait. They build. Even in the dark, even in the silence, even when no one understands why they're so committed, why they keep showing up, why they keep saying no to distractions. Because builders know, eventually, the structure rises. And when it does, the same people who mocked the foundation will marvel at the skyline. But by then it won't even matter, because the builder isn't building for applause. He's building because it's who he is. That's the shift. When growth is no longer something you do, it's who you are. When your identity is so aligned, so dialed in, that excellence becomes effortless. Not because it's easy, but because it's standard. Because now you don't need motivation. You've got mission. You don't need hype. You've got habits. You don't need to feel ready. You've got rhythm. And rhythm is where the real success happens. In the boring, in the repetition, in the early mornings, the late nights, the hours of work when no one's watching. That's where your edge is built. That's where champions are made. The grind isn't glamorous, but it's where greatness is born. So stop looking for the magic. You are the magic. You become it through work, through sacrifice, through relentless self-development. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you your comfort, your excuses, your laziness, your victimhood, your need for validation, your craving for ease. But it will give you something far greater. It will give you mastery. Mastery of your time. Mastery of your emotions. Mastery of your environment. Mastery of your money. Not just earning it, but managing it, multiplying it, directing it toward legacy instead of lifestyle. Because that's the final layer. Wealth with wisdom. Not riches for ego, but riches for impact. To give, to build, to fund your vision, to set your family free, to expand your reach, to be the one who broke the cycle. And the only way you earn that kind of wealth is by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So, become the person who attracts greatness as a side effect of alignment. And never forget this. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. But you are responsible for every result, every habit, every inch of progressor, the lack of it. This is your life, your future, your legacy, and no one is coming to write it for you. So get up, get disciplined, get focused, get obsessed, and never stop developing. Because in the end, your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will never exceed your self-respect. And the moment you raise Bauthus, the moment everything changes forever. Because if you're still breathing, then there is still becoming. The journey of self-development is not one you finish, it's one you master over and over again. And mastery is not a moment, it's a mindset. It's waking up every day and asking not, what can I get, but who can I become today that I wasn't yesterday? It's understanding that every level you reach exposes a new weakness to strengthen, a new lie to confront, a new truth to embody. And those who rise the highest are not those who avoid these battles, but those who go looking for them. They don't fear their flaws, they hunt them. Because they know that each weakness left unchallenged is a future limitation, a ceiling waiting to collapse, a fracture in the foundation of everything they're building. So they stay sharp, they stay humble, they stay hungry. The world may applaud them, the world may envy them, but they know they are only one unguarded day, one complacent season, one drop standard away from losing it all. That is the weight of greatness. You don't get to rise and then relax, you rise and then reinforce. You double down on the habits. You reinforce the mindset. You stay grounded in the values that brought you here. Because here's the truth. Success doesn't make you invincible. It makes you vulnerable. vulnerable to ease, to pride, to distraction, to thinking you've arrived. But there is no arrival. There is only ascension. And the minute you stop climbing, gravity starts pulling you back. So climb, even when you're tired, especially when you're tired. Climb, even when it's raining, even when it's lonely, even when you can't see the summit, because the climb is where the character is carved. It's where vision is forged. It's where legacy is born. And legacy is what this is all about. Not the car, not the clothes, not the clout. Legacy, what you leave behind, what you build that outlives you, what people say about you when your name is spoken in rooms you'll never walk into. And you don't build legacy by chasing applause. You build it by becoming someone worthy of being remembered. You build it by becoming someone you can respect, because self-respect, that's the core. That's what self-development gives you. It's not just more money, it's more dignity, more integrity, more power in the way you walk, talk, breathe, live. It's knowing that you did not cheat your potential, that you met every challenge with courage, that you didn't fold when it got hard, that you didn't water down your vision to make others comfortable. It's knowing you became the person you once prayed you could be. That's the true reward. And it starts now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, so rise, not for the money, not for the recognition, but for the mission, for the people watching you, for the people who need your voice, for the generation that will be freer because you said yes to growth. Your income may never exceed your self-development, but neither will your impact. And that is why you keep going. That is why you don't quit. That is why you build and break and rebuild again. Because you were never chasing money. You were chasing mastery. And now you're becoming it. Then keep walking with me, because we are not done. Not until every last excuse is dead. Not until every dormant gift inside you is awake. Not until every ounce of strength, discipline, and clarity has been called forth and anchored into the life you are building. So let's talk about time. Time is not money. Time is life. And you are trading pieces of your life every single day for what? For convenience? For approval? For scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through someone else's highlight reel while your own dream withers in silence? Understand this. Your time is your most expensive currency. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose momentum and regain it. But the time you waste in mediocrity and comfort and procrastination that's gone forever, every wasted hour is a debt your future self has to pay. So protect your time like a king protects his kingdom. Guard it from energy thieves. Guard it from shallow conversations, from digital black holes, from every notification that pulls your focus away from your future. Because time is the silent multiplier. Every minute spent becoming is a seed. Every hour invested in your discipline, your health, your vision, it compounds. And every hour wasted on things that don't move the needle, that compounds too. You're either compounding your power or compounding your regret. And that's a brutal truth most will never face. But you're not most people. Most people wake up with no aim, no target, no strategy. They live on autopilot and call it normal. They drift and wonder why they feel empty. They consume and wonder why they feel powerless. They settle and wonder why their soul whispers at night, this isn't it. You wake up with intent. You open your eyes and say, today is mine. Mine to build. Mine to master. Mine to leave. No doubt that I was herefully, boldly, relentlessly here. Because you're not just building a business or a brand or a career. You're building a legacy identity. The version of you that refuses to leave this world ordinary. And legacy isn't built in big moments. It's built in small choices repeated daily. The choice to journal when you could scroll. The choice to practice when no one's clapping. The choice to sit with your thoughts instead of silencing them with noise. The choice to ask hard questions What do I need to stop pretending not to know? What truth am I avoiding? What part of me is still addicted to struggle because it's familiar? And then, face those truths with fire. Face them like a warrior sharpening his blade, knowing the next level of your life requires the next level of you. Because at the end of the day, it's not your lack of resources that's stopping you. It's your lack of reinvention. The unwillingness to kill off the version of you that was built to survive, so you can step into the one that's built to thrive. And let me remind you of this. There is nothing noble about staying small. Shrinking does not serve the world. Playing timid does not inspire others. Dimming your light does not make others shine. Brighter, it only blinds them to what's possible. So be bold. Be seen. Be unapologetically great. And not because the world owes you anything, but because you owe it to yourself to become everything you were designed to be. So grow. Keep growing. Grow until there's no version of you left that you'd trade places with. And when you get there, you won't stop. You'll rise again. Because growth is no longer your strategy. It's your identity. You wear growth like armor now. You don't seek comfort, you seek challenge. You crave the edge, the resistance, the tension that shapes men into titans, women into warriors, leaders into legends, because you've tasted the truth. Nothing in this life will fulfill you like becoming the person you were meant to be. And that person, that highest version of you, they're not somewhere out in the distance. They're not a decade away. They're already within you, buried under the lies you believed, the stories you inherited, the habits you never questioned. But now you're excavating them. Now every day you chip away at everything false, everything weak, everything fearful, everything inherited from people who meant well but never walked where you're headed. And what's left behind is something rare. Unbreakable self-respect, unshakable clarity, undeniable power. Because when you live in alignment with your highest values, when your actions mirror your intentions, when your behavior becomes a prophecy of the greatness you're stepping into, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become unfazed. You still get tested, but now you pass. You still feel fear, but now you move anyway. You still hear the noise, but now it can't touch you because your roots are deep. Your vision is bigger than your doubts, and your habits, they've become holy. Rituals of your future self, practice daily in the now. And that's the difference between those who dream and those who do. Dreamers fantasize about success. Doers train for it. Dreamers wait for the world to change. Doers become the change. Dreamers hope. Doers become hope personified, living proof that evolution is real, and it's available to anyone willing to burn the excuses to the ground and rise from the ashes of their old life. You are that proof. Every time you say no to the lesser version of yourself, you strengthen the one who's building an empire. Every time you push through the resistance, you reinforce the identity that will carry you to places most people will only ever see in their imagination. Every time you act in alignment with your highest vision, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you earn the right to call yourself free. And not the kind of freedom sold on billboards. Real freedom. The freedom of inner control. The freedom to wake up proud of who you are. The freedom to say, I built this. Not just the business, not just the bank account, but the mind, the discipline, the heart, the legacy. You built you, and no one can take that away. So keep building, with fire in your eyes, with truth in your chest, with vision in your stride. Because this world doesn't need more content creators. It doesn't need more influencers. It doesn't need more followers of trends. This world needs more builders of self. Men and women who stare down their past and choose their future. Who reject mediocrity not because it's wrong, but because it's not them. Who choose to rise every day because the cost of staying the same is too damn high. You are that kind of person. You are the one. And your income? It will rise. It will multiply. It will follow your growth like a shadow because you've built the internal ecosystem where wealth, opportunity, and greatness thrive. But that is not your true reward. Your true reward is this. You will wake up one day, look in the mirror, and meet a person who doesn't flinch, a person who doesn't wait, a person who doesn't need to fake confidence because they earned it. That is wealth. That is success. That is freedom. And it was never out there. It was always waiting in you. A final breath, a final word. The journey doesn't end when the script finishes. The journey begins right now with you. You've heard the call. You've felt the fire. You've seen the mirror. Now the question is not, will you rise? The question is, how far are you willing to go to never fall back again? Because your income will rarely exceed your self-development, but your life will never again fall below it. Now go, build, become, earn the right to meet your highest self, and never look back. There's a sickness running through the world today. It doesn't show up in your blood. It shows up in your calendar. It shows up in your racing heart, your exhausted mind, your to-do list that never dies, your inbox that mocks you at midnight. It's not a virus. It's not failure. It's something much more subtle. Something that looks like progress, but leaves you empty. Busyness. We wear it like a badge. We brag about it at dinner. We confuse motion with meaning. But busyness is not the same as effectiveness. Busyness is noise. Effectiveness is music. Busyness keeps you occupied. Effectiveness keeps you aligned. And if you don't learn to tell the difference, you'll spend your entire life spinning in circles faster and faster until one day you collapse from exhaustion and realize you never actually moved forward. Because busyness is addictive. It makes you feel important. It makes you look impressive. But it keeps you from your real power. Because power isn't how many things you can juggle. Power is how many things you can eliminate. Power is focus. Power is clarity. Power is choosing depth over distraction. You don't get paid for how many hours you work. You get paid for how effective those hours are. You don't win because your schedule is full. You win because your work moves mountains. And if what you're doing isn't moving anything, if it's just activity without results, then you're not working. You're hiding. You're hiding behind the illusion of effort. Because deep down, you're afraid to slow down. You're afraid that if you slow down, the truth will catch up to you. The truth that you've been busy, but not productive. The truth that you've been reacting, but not creating. The truth that you've been chasing low-level tasks instead of high-impact transformation. But you can change that now. You can decide right now to stop being busy and start being brutally effective. And it starts with a question, a dangerous question, a question most people are too scared to ask. Is what I'm doing actually working? Not, does it keep me occupied? Not, does it make me look successful? But, does it matter? Because until you ask that question, until you audit your time with ruthless honesty, you'll stay stuck in the hamster wheel of performance, never touching the life you were actually built to live. You weren't built for endless hustle. You weren't built to wake up tired and fall asleep numb. You weren't built to drown in meetings, messages, and mediocrity. You were built to create. You were built to lead. You were built to build something that lasts. And none of that comes from being busy. It comes from being effective. So, how do you do it? How do you become more than busy? You get clear, crystal clear. Because clarity kills confusion, and confusion is the god of busyness. When you don't know what matters most, everything feels urgent. And urgency is a liar. It rushes you. It pressures you. It tricks you into chasing volume over value. But clarity? Clarity quiets the room. Clarity slows your heartbeat. Clarity reminds you, most of what you think is important isn't. And that's where your freedom begins. When you realize that success is not about doing more. It's about doing less better. Fewer distractions. Fewer obligations. Fewer things that dilute your genius. And more impact. More intention. More focus on the few things that change everything. Because that's the secret every high performer eventually learns. Success is not found in the number of things you do. Success is found in the weight of the things you choose to do. And the deeper truth? If you're always busy, it's probably because you're avoiding something. Avoiding depth. Avoiding reflection. Avoiding the hard conversations and real priorities that actually stretch you. Because busyness is safe. It feels like progress without the pain of true growth. But effectiveness? Effectiveness demands courage. It demands that you say no. It demands that you pause, that you plan, that you cut the noise and confront the hard truth. You can't keep living like this. You can't keep chasing tasks like trophies. You can't keep burning time on things that don't build you. You have one life, and if it's going to mean anything, it has to be effective. Because deep down you already know. You feel it in your bones, the weight of wasted hours. You feel it when the day ends and your soul is still starving, not because you didn't work hard, but because you didn't work right. You ran the race. You crossed off the list. You answered the calls. You responded to the noise. You survived the day, but you didn't move the needle. And that's the difference between being busy and being legendary. Because legendary doesn't come from chaos. It comes from clarity, followed by execution. It comes from saying, I'm done with distractions disguised as duties. I'm done with activity that looks good but leads nowhere. I'm done pretending that full calendars mean fulfilled lives. Being effective means making bold decisions. It means eliminating the things that drain your brilliance. It means refusing to sacrifice your calling for convenience. It means identifying the one or two things, the real things that build your legacy and going all in on them. Not multitasking, not grinding on 50 fronts, not reacting to everyone else's fire. Just pure, deliberate force applied to what truly matters. That's how results compound. That's how empires rise. That's how average descend mastery is born. Because when you stop being busy, you start building something real. And that scares people. Because most people need the illusion of busy to avoid the responsibility of becoming. But not you. Not anymore. You've outgrown the disguise. You've outgrown the cluttered life. You've outgrown the false pride of saying, I'm just so busy. Because busy is not a badge, it's a blindfold. It keeps you from seeing the truth. That your time is a weapon. That your focus is a currency. That your energy is a limited resource, and you've been spending it like it's infinite. But from this moment on, everything changes. From this moment on, you no longer wake up and wait to see who demands your attention. You design your day like your destiny depends on it because it does. You no longer react. You create. You no longer say yes to everyone. You say yes to the mission. And if that makes you misunderstood, good. If that makes you less available, good. If that makes you quieter, sharper, more focused, more dangerous to the forces of average, good. Because effectiveness requires isolation. It requires decision. It requires that you leave the crowd of busy behind and walk alone toward alignment. And that walk, it's not easy, but it's worth it. Because at the end of it, you won't just have a list of tasks. You'll have transformation. You'll have results that speak for you. You'll have a life that's not full but fulfilled. And the next time someone asks what you've been up to, you won't say, just busy. You'll smile with calm power and say, just being effective. Because that shift, that internal shift is where power begins. When you stop measuring your day by what you did and start measuring it by what moved, what advanced, what deepened, what grew you, what broke patterns and built momentum, you begin to realize the goal was never to get everything done. The goal was to get the right things done, to act in such ruthless alignment that your effort becomes sacred, your schedule becomes sovereign, Your presence becomes rare because now you don't run around doing, you move with direction, and the world feels it. You no longer have to talk about your priorities. Your effectiveness proves them. It's in the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you protect your time, the way you say no without apology and yes without hesitation. That's what effectiveness gives you: clarity without conflict. You stop wrestling with your conscience because your calendar finally agrees with your calling. And that peace, that precision, it cannot be bought. It must be built. One aligned action at a time. One ruthless no at a time. One moment of presence at a time. This is where the real work begins, not in doing more, but in refining. Refining your focus. Refining your routines. Refining your rituals until what you do every day is no longer random, it's rhythmic. Until every hour serves a purpose and every task has a place and your mind is no longer scattered but sharp. That's what separates a day that drains you from a day that develops you. So audit everything, not just what you do, but why you do it. Not just how you work, but who it's really serving. Because most people aren't working for their future. They're working for their fears. Afraid to slow down. Afraid to say no. Afraid to focus because focus forces them to confront how much of their energy has been wasted. But you've seen it now. You've felt the difference between motion and meaning. You've felt what happens when a single hour of intention produces more than a week of scattered effort. You've tasted the fire of effectiveness. And you'll never settle for busy again. You're done wearing exhaustion as proof of work. You're done mistaking urgency for importance. You're done sprinting nowhere. From this point forward, your life is not a flurry, it is a force. You are not scattered. You are surgical. You are not productive. You are precise, and your days are no longer a reaction. They are a revelation. Because the person you've always wanted to be, they weren't hiding in a longer to-do list. They were hiding in the focused execution of the essentials. And now, you don't just feel productive. You feel powerful. You feel present. You feel undeniable. Then we finish this the way it was meant to be finished, not with a whisper, but with a declaration. Because from this moment forward, you are no longer just moving. You are mastering. You are no longer just checking boxes. You are creating impact. You are no longer chasing the illusion of progress. You are delivering results. And your life? It's no longer built on the number of hours you fill. It's built on the intensity of your focus, the purity of your priorities, the power of your presence. You don't leave your greatness up to chance. You engineer it. You schedule it. You make space for it every single day because it's not a hope, it's a habit. It's not an inspiration, it's a system. And the system is simple. Do less, but do it better. Think deeper. Move slower. Decide faster. Protect your energy like it's oxygen, because it is. You don't let people pull you into their chaos. You don't let shiny objects hijack your flow. You don't let fear disguise itself as just staying busy, because you've upgraded now. You've evolved. You've crossed over from effort into effectiveness. And what you'll build from here? It won't just impress people. It'll influence them. It'll wake them up. Because when you live this way clear, focused, aligned, effective, you become evidence. You become proof that a peaceful life is not a passive one. It's a powerful one, a deliberate one, a disciplined one, where your calendar reflects your values, where your habits reflect your standards, where your schedule reflects your spirit. So don't just be busy. Be effective. Don't just hustle. Move with holy precision. Don't just wake up and hope today turns out right. Make it right. Build it. Shape it. Protect it. And let the world feel the ripple of a life that no longer scatters itself for attention, but concentrates itself into transformation. Because you're no longer running in circles. You are advancing with fire. You are no longer proud of being busy. You are committed to being legendary. And that changes everything.